Hello students. Students, today we will discuss a very important topic and the topic is infertility. This topic belongs to the chapter Reproductive Health. My dear students, there are a number of couples in our country who do not have their children. Now, what they will do? They will use some special techniques which comes under the program ART. So what is ART? What is the full form of ART? ART stands for Assisted Reproductive Technology. Clear? So they can use any of this technique. So here we will see that this technology is divided into two categories. The first one is in vivo fertilization and the second one is in vitro fertilization followed by embryo transfer. First of all, we will discuss in vivo fertilization. In vivo fertilization is that fertilization which takes place inside the female body. So if fertilization is taking place inside the female body in natural condition, it will be called as in vivo fertilization. Clear? Now what happens? There are two techniques which is given in your NCERT which you have to read. The first technique is GIFT. So GIFT comes under the category of in vivo fertilization. The full form of GIFT is gamete intra-fallopian transfer. Just remember the full form, that is gamete intra-fallopian transfer. It means we are transferring the gamete into the fallopian tube. Now what is the condition when we will go for GIFT? Suppose the female is unable to produce the ovum, but she can provide a suitable condition for the zygote. So what it will do is, here we will take the ovum from a donor. Clear? So here an ovum is taken from the donor and it is transferred. It is transferred to the female. It is transferred to the female. Where? In the fallopian tube. So that technique will be called as GIFT. Clear? So in vivo fertilization means the fertilization is taking place inside the female body, first thing. Second, there are two techniques. The first one is GIFT, that is gamete intra-fallopian transfer. Here the female partner is unable to produce the ovum. So the ovum is taken from a donor and it is transferred into the female. So that will be called as GIFT. The second technique under this is AI, that is artificial insemination. Now, when we will perform artificial insemination, when the male partner is unable to produce the large amount of sperm, or we can say when the sperm count is very low, or he is unable to inseminate the female. So then the individual will go for artificial insemination. So here what we will do, we will take the semen. The semen will be collected either from the donor or it can be taken from the male. Clear? So here we have two options. The semen can be taken by the donor or it can be taken from the male partner, and it is transferred either into the vagina or into the uterus. If it's transferred directly into the uterus, it will be called as IUI, that is intrauterine insemination. Clear? So my dear student, just remember, ART is assisted reproductive technology. It has two approaches, in vivo fertilization and in vitro fertilization. In vivo fertilization, the fertilization takes place inside the female body. There are two techniques, GIFT and AI. In GIFT, the gamete is transferred into the fallopian tube of the female. Here the ovum is taken from a donor and is transferred into the female. In artificial insemination, the semen is collected either from the donor or the male and it is transferred into the vagina or the uterus of the female partner. Clear? That was about in vivo fertilization. Now the second is in vitro fertilization. When the fertilization is taking place outside the female body, it is called as in vitro fertilization. When we perform in vitro fertilization, then what happens? It is followed by embryo transfer. So here first of all we have to perform fertilization outside the body, and then that embryo, early embryo will be transferred into the female body. So here we will see fertilization is taking place outside the female body. This technique is also known as commonly as test tube baby program, but it doesn't mean that we will develop the baby in the test tube. Clear? It means that we are doing fertilization in the laboratory outside the female body, and that program is known as test tube baby program. Here what happens? The ova is collected. In vitro fertilization, the ova is collected. It is either of wife or it is of donor, and the sperm of either husband or donor, it is collected. So our main purpose is to collect the ovum and to collect the sperm. After that it is fertilized, and then zygote formation take place. First of all, we have collected the gametes, male gamete and female gamete. It can be collected from the female partner or the donor. Same, the sperm can be collected either by the husband or by the donor. When it is collected, it is fused outside the body. The process is known as fertilization. When the fertilization takes place, what happens? There is the formation of zygote. Clear? In this, one more thing we can do. We can perform another technology, that is ICSI. Clear? ICSI, that is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Now here what we do is, in intracytoplasmic sperm injection, sperm which is taken is directly injected into the ovum. We will take the sperm and we will directly inject it into the ovum. After that, fertilization will take place and there will be the formation of zygote. This zygote, or we can say the early embryo, is then transferred into the female, that is either into the female partner or to the surrogate mother. So here I have drawn a diagram. Here you can see the egg, that is the ovum. Now here this is the injection needle and it is having the sperm. So here with the help of this needle, the sperm is directly injected into the ovum. So that technique is known as ICSI. Very important, when we will directly inject the sperm into the ovum. So that is known as ICSI. Clear? So now we have done the fertilization outside the body. Now after fertilization, what happens? The zygote formation takes place. Now we have to transfer zygote inside the body. So what we can do? We can do two techniques. But first of all, we will see ET. ET stands for embryo transfer. Embryo transfer. Now what is this? We have done fertilization outside the body. Zygote formation has taken place. Embryo formation has taken place. Now we have to transfer that embryo. Here we can do two techniques. The first one is ZIFT. It was GIFT. Now here we are discussing ZIFT. Just remember, the full form is zygote intrafallopian transfer. We will transfer the zygote or the early embryo which has up to 8 blastomere. It has only 8 cells. Clear? Just remember, if the zygote or early embryo have 8 blastomere, then it will be transferred into the fallopian tube. And that technique will be known as zygote intrafallopian transfer. Clear? So here it will be transferred to the fallopian tube. It is very, very important. Or we can do IUT, that is intrauterine transfer. Here we will transfer the embryo or zygote where? Into the uterus. Sorry, not zygote. So embryo is transferred. Which embryo? Which has cells more than 8. So more than 8 blastomere. The embryo having more than 8 blastomere will be transferred to the uterus, and that technique will be known as IUT, intrauterine transfer. So it will be done in the uterus. Clear? We have done in vitro fertilization. Zygote will be formed. Now we have to transfer the embryo or zygote. So here we will do two techniques. ZIFT. When the embryo is up to 8 blastomere, then it will be transferred to the fallopian tube, which is known as ZIFT. But when it has more than 8 blastomere, it will be transferred into the uterus, and the technique will be known as IUT. Clear? Now here I have made a flowchart. My dear student, just remember this flowchart, then no problem will be there. First of all, ART. You should know the meaning, full form of the ART, assisted reproductive technology. There are two methods, in vivo fertilization and in vitro fertilization, followed by embryo transfer. In vivo fertilization, when it is taking place outside the female body, it can be GIFT. First technique is GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer, and the next technique is AI, that is artificial insemination. And if it is done in the uterus, it will be called as IUI, intrauterine insemination. IVF, that is in vitro fertilization, taking place outside the body. After the formation of zygote, we have to transfer it, and it will be called as embryo transfer. Here we will transfer the embryo. If it is up to 8 blastomere, it will be called as ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer. And if it is having more than 8 blastomere, we will do IUT, that is intrauterine transfer. So this was just a gist of this topic, and it is very important. Now why I am discussing today, I was watching this sample paper which was published by CBSE. So all those students who are appearing for class 12th, just go for the very first question. In this question it is written, an infertile couple was advised to undergo in vitro fertilization by the doctor. So doctor has advised to go for in vitro fertilization. Clear? Out of the options given below, select the correct stage for the transfer to the fallopian tube. Now we have to transfer to the fallopian tube for the successful result. Now what will transfer to this fallopian tube? We will transfer the early embryo or zygote. Now here the option is zygote only, zygote or early embryo up to 8 blastomere, embryos with more than 8 blastomere, and blastocyst stage. So here we have discussed that in ZIFT technology, what we will do? We will transfer either zygote or early embryo having 8 blastomere to the fallopian tube. So the doctor has advised to go for this technique. So here if this question is given, so next time or in your main board exam, this question can come, any question can come. So just go through this topic. Okay, and this was all about. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video.